this courtroom, I'm sure you're familiar with. After this little bit, this is the one made famous by Senator Paul. Senator Paul says she's 68 years old and she's got a wonderful youthful countenance. She pleads guilty to all 5 misdemeanors in exchange for Senator Paul. And then Ken Chesborough, who is doing his best to look like Scott Glenn in Silence of the Lambs, pled guilty next. Third up was Jenna Ellis, which I think rounds out the Rudy Giuliani is fucked part of the court cases, because these are are there any other attorneys in this particular team? I don't think so. Right? So, yeah. So, yes, many of you will know Jenna Ellis as the crying fart catcher, the woman who caught COVID when Rudy Giuliani squeezed out a horrifying wet fart all over her. Hold on, let me see. I have to move this over here to find it. Hold on. I don't even know if these are. Oh yeah, that definitely was heard. Oh yeah. So there, Rudy's there, if not in reality, in spirit. As a matter of fact, we have Rudy on the line. Rudy, do you have anything to say to Jenna Ellis? I see. All right. Well, I'm sure she feels the same way. So, yes, she weeps a little bit, and she claims she pulls what Trump is trying to pull, which is the defense. What is it? The advice of counsel defense, sort of a soft version of that. But here we go. This is the whole thing, though. Welcome to the show. It's a special Tuesday edition. Good morning, good day, and good evening.
Welcome.
Hi.
All right. Then let's get into it. Mr. Hogue, do you have a preference between the podium or counsel's table?
I don't want to come any closer, Your Honor, to the counter than I have to. I'd rather just stay back here, sitting next to Jenna. If I was sitting next to Sidney Powell, I'd probably want to stand in the next room or appear on video. But Jenna's cute, so I'll sit right here.
You just stay here if that's all right with Your Honor.
It sounds fine to me. All right, Ms. Young, whenever
Hey, we've got Jenna Cam.
you're ready.
Ma'am, Ms. Ellis, can you please raise your right hand?
And can I tell the gallery and everyone who came here to support you, all of Trump's family members and everyone who, has been helping you through all this, everyone who's sitting in the gallery today, can you all keep it down a little?
Swear from the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth.
Yes.
And the whole truth to help
Yes.
you God.
I do.
And are you the Jenna Lynn Ellis that's named in accusation 23 SC 190514, charged with one count of aiding and abetting false statements in writing?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this your true and correct legal name?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication today?
Yes.
No.
Is there any medication that you should be taking that you have not taken today?
Absolutely. No. COVID. Rudy's not here. I'm fine. Are they like PrEP, maybe?
How old are you and how far did you go in school?
38 years old, 39 on November 1st, so very soon. And I completed my Juris Doctorate.
Well, happy birthday. That is wonderful. Let's bring out the cake, everyone. That's wonderful. So you never thought that you'd make it all the way to 30. You thought, I'll make it to 39 without being a felon. And I was wrong.
And are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes.
Have you gone over this accusation with your attorneys, Mr. and Mrs. Hogue?
I have.
Wait, hold on. Wait, Mr. and Mrs. Hogue? Hold on. She has a married legal team? Mr. and Mrs. Hogue. They fall in love and fight crime, and when they met, it was murder.
Understand that you're charged.
Mr. and Mrs. Hogue. The Hogues, if you will. I mean, how the fuck? Clearly, there was a park bench billboard involved in the hiring of this legal team. The Hogues.
One count.
Hogue me, baby.
Of aiding and abetting false statements in writings.
Yes.
Have you?
Yes, I'm really good. Yes, because the other 9 things I'm guilty of would mean jail time. So fuck yeah. Let's go yeah on that one. That's so much. I'll plead fucking yeah, like on that one, so I don't have to do the others. Okay.
Have you gone over the minimum and maximum sentence with your attorneys?
I have.
And do you understand that that carries a minimum penalty of 1 year to a maximum penalty of 5 years to serve?
Yes.
However,
do you understand that you have the right to plead guilty or not guilty to this charge? And if you plead not guilty, you have the right to remain silent and move forward with the jury trial?
Yes.
but I will be found guilty because you played back the recordings of me saying stuff that makes me guilty. So, yeah, let's fucking do this. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Have you reviewed the waiver?
Jesus Christ. It's like watching Miss Teen USA. I also plead guilty to the Iraq
Rights with your attorneys?
I have.
And have you gone over that waiver of rights and also signed it along with your attorneys?
I have.
By the way, well, hold on.
Have you had enough time?
Phrase, you fucker. By the way, everybody who comes through this courtroom gets this same treatment. I want you to know. Anybody who's pled or who pleads guilty or or not guilty, whatever, they all go through this. So I want you to remember that the next time you consider somebody, in the process of going through the legal system, at least in this county. Holy shit, did they cross the T's and dot the I's?
Time to speak with your attorneys in regards to the facts in this case and any defenses that you may have if you were to have gone to trial?
Yes.
Do you need any more time to speak with them?
No.
Yeah, it's not going to help. I mean, the Hogues are lovely people, but I've had dinner at their house twice, and the arguments are uncomfortable. I'd rather plead guilty. Take me away. Take me away. Just, can I plead and get the fuck out of this
Are
state?
you satisfied with their services?
Very much.
Mr.
They're great. I give them a 5-star Yelp review. Sorry.
Oh, do you waive formal reading of the accusation against your client?
We do.
Do you waive any defects that might lay within the accusation?
We do.
Do you flush any chances of an appeal down the toilet? We do.
Ms. Ellis, have you been arrested on these charges?
Yes.
Was that fun? Oh my God, I so was.
And does the state's understand that there are no other outstanding related warrants to this charge? Do you know of any to your knowledge?
I do not.
Not in this state, Your Honor. There is a federal matter that relates directly to this, but this is outside of your jurisdiction. Help, plead fifth, something. Psst. Ellis bot failing. Ellis bot failing.
Do you understand that this is a negotiated plea, which means the state and your attorneys have reached a recommendation to make to the court?
Yes.
Do you understand that the court is not bound by that recommendation and could sentence you to the maximum penalty for this charge?
Yes.
Do you understand if the court does not follow the state's recommendation, then you can withdraw your guilty plea and move forward with the jury trial?
Yes.
Do you understand that the conditions of this plea involves 5 years of probation, that you pay $5,000 of restitution to the Georgia Secretary of State
And no fine. She didn't get a fine on this. She just got restitution.
within 30 days? And it's in my understanding that you're asking to be treated as a first offender.
Even though we all know about that one time. But I mean, honestly, who hasn't done a tequila bong and ended up, never mind.
Yes. Do you understand that a special conditions of this probation is that you complete 100 hours of community service?
Just none of them can be done with legal services because that would incriminate you further. So we'll just give you a broom and hope for the best.
That you write an apology letter to the citizens of the state of Georgia, which you have already done, and the state will put that into evidence as State's Exhibit 1.
And
For the court.
we're also going to tack it up. Hold on. We're also going to tack it up on the wall in the attorney's rec room so we can all have a good laugh.
That you testify truthfully at all hearings or trials involving co-defendants, that you have no communication.
Oh, that's the good one. That's the one we like the most. And that they have no communications. So Trump can't talk to them, and they can't talk to him. And they have to testify truthfully at all related matters. And that's the fucking ball game. That's, I mean, beyond even Jack Smith and January 6th. That's all the other states, if they decide to just sue her for damages to replace some. At some point, these other states might just decide, they can pay for some of the replacements of their voting machines by bringing these assholes to court, and they all have to testify.
With co-defendants, witnesses, or the media until all cases have been closed.
Yes.
That you must continue to provide additional recorded statements and affidavits to the state as required. That you must also continue to provide.
Let's just enjoy that for a moment. Let that kind of percolate.
Any requested documents or evidence subject to any lawful privileges asserted in good faith, that you shall not post anything on social media, including through any agents, about this case until the conclusion of all trials and appeals, that you must continue to fully cooperate with prosecutors, included but not limited to participating in interviews with prosecutors.
Also, I might add, well, we'll deal with it when they get to it. Hold on one second.
Appearing for evidentiary hearings and assisting in pretrial matters. Do you understand that these are the conditions of the recommendation that the state is making to the court?
I do.
It is my understanding that, have you gone over the first offender status with your attorneys?
I have.
And do you want to confess to any other crimes also, and heretofore, and the Iraq?
And you're asking this court to be treated as a first offender?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you pled guilty or nolo to ever in this state of Georgia or any other jurisdiction?
No.
Have you ever been sentenced for
There was a moment of thought there.
any crime, felony or misdemeanor under the First Offender Act?
No.
And you've gone over the First Offender Act with your attorneys, and do you understand that if you violate the terms of your first offender sentence or commit a new offense while on first offender probation, your first offender status could be revoked and you could be adjudicated guilty and you could be resentenced up to the maximum sentence for this charge and the accusation?
This is the fuck around and find out act of 2013.
I understand.
Do you understand that this guilty plea may be used to enhance sentencing of any other convictions in this jurisdiction, as well as other jurisdictions, including the federal courts?
Yes.
Including the federal courts. Including, this is language that I don't recall being in the Sidney Powell part of it. It was definitely in there and in the actual paperwork, because it is, but they're saying it out loud specifically in this one.
Do you understand that you are being placed on probation and you cannot violate your probation by committing any other crimes in any governmental unit or violate any special conditions of your probation?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you violate the probation or any special conditions, that you will be subject to revocation for the balance of the sentence?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are not allowed to possess any or use any firearms while you're on probation?
And hold on there, Johnny. We got to go to the judges on that one. We got a negative. And survey says gun toter. No, she knows that. The problem that she has is the same that Cheesebro has, is the same that Sidney Powell has, is that if anybody needs a firearm for fucking self-defense, it's one of the people. It's the people testifying against Trump. Swear to God. What was that buzzing? That was the in the South. Anytime someone questions the Second Amendment, there's an alarm that goes off all around. I'm kidding. You can borrow my gun if you need one. And you can have a gun in Florida. You just can't have one in Georgia. I would just suggest you stay out of Georgia until after Donald Trump has been, dead of natural causes for about 15 years. And don't approach Roseanne.
Yes.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, this guilty plea will affect your immigration status and will result in deportation? By the way,
Factor that in. Anytime you hear Fox News talking about they don't with the immigrants, and the immigrants don't get and they have more rights than blah, 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 blah. Okay. Just remember that line. That happens everywhere.
I understand.
That's a federal rule.
Do you understand that there may be other adverse or unfavorable consequences as a result of this guilty plea, just as there would be if you were found guilty at trial? For example, your guilty plea may affect your right to vote, your right to hold office, your right to serve as a jury, as a juror, the right to obtain a passport, the right to receive, possess, or transport a firearm, the ability to obtain employment, or your membership for the bar in this state or any other states.
I understand.
Yeah, but the other option is actual prison, so. This is going to be sealed and expunged in 5 years, right? First offender, yes? Okay, great. So if I just keep my fucking trap shut in about 5 years, even the bar can't deny me if I can pass it in some other state. That's the case, which is the truth, that she can. And sorry, your attorney would like a word, and he says, "Oh dear God, okay."
Do you understand that you are waiving all defenses, including any mental health defenses, by entering this guilty plea?
Yes.
Do you understand
Because technically I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but
that if you went to trial, you would have the right to a trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and confront witnesses,
the right to actually go to jail because we have way more evidence against you than we need to convict you.
called to testify against you, the right to testify or remain silent and not incriminate yourself?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty?
By the way, she's super fucking cheery during all of this until she reads her statement. We'll get. I don't think she's faking when she starts getting weepy during her statement because this is very stressful. It has to be.
You are giving up the following rights: the right to a jury trial, the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself.
Like her attorney's like, oh shit.
The right to confront witnesses, the right of the assistance of counsel hired by you or appointed by the court, the right to the presumption of innocence, the right to testify on your own behalf and to present other evidence, the right to subpoena witnesses and compel production of evidence, the right to have the charges against you proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and the right to appeal if convicted of these charges.
Yes.
Has anyone forced, threatened, promised, or coerced you in any way to enter into this guilty plea?
No, ma'am.
Is it
Sort of. I mean, the circumstances and the DA showing you evidence, rock in a hard place. It's not forced or coerced, but, you might be doing yourself a favor.
your decision to waive these rights and enter a guilty plea because you are in fact guilty?
It is.
How do you plead to aiding and abetting false statements in writings under accusation 23 SC 190514?
Guilty.
Yeah, she helped Rudy Giuliani lie. That's what this is all boiled down to. There's a bunch of other shit too, but effectively by carrying his fucking books and sitting next to him at that legislative hearing and appearing under oath and backing his lies up and all that shit, that's what she's pleading. They're squeezing this all down to. She helped facilitate Rudy Giuliani's lies, which she knowingly assisted in that lying. She knew it was a lie at the time. Whatever. And then we'll see her kind of back away from that with her statement.
And is this your signature along with Mr. Hoag's signature on the accusation?
It is.
Wait, Mrs. Hoag doesn't get to sign it? You don't get Hoag squared?
And is this guilty plea freely and voluntarily given with full knowledge of the charges against you?
It is.
Do you understand that you may have only limited rights to appeal this guilty plea?
I do.
And do you understand that you would have 4 years from today's date to file habeas corpus as in regards to this guilty plea?
Okay. All of these, if you'll notice, say you've got 4 years to this day to file habeas corpus and go, this was all bullshit. I was drunk and I lied about being drunk and I can't, and I want to go back on all of it. Part of the back, some of them seem to be maybe thinking that if they can punt some of this shit, like by the time they would testify against Trump in this thing, it'll be so far down the line, and that he could pardon them to keep them from testifying so that they could undermine this thing. But these are state charges, so it doesn't fucking matter. But on the federal level, where they've already kind of pled out of this stuff.
Yes.
But if they don't go to the state charge until he's already president, then he can't be tried again, and then he thinks he'll get out of it. And so even if they want to testify against him, I guess they could be deposed against him. I mean, it's a stupid plan, but you can see where they think it's going.
Under the state, the accusation is not guilty plea to enter According to the state's investigation, Ms. Ellis does not have any criminal history, so she would be eligible for first offender, which the state has no objection to.
All right, before we get into a colloquy, I'd ask Mr. Hogue, if you could take back up the waiver form. There's actually
You missed, there's a thing with like Trump-related attorneys. You forgot to check a box.
spot on here to circle about the first offender status. Right there.
Don't worry. We don't find you offensive, dear. Okay, let me read this here. Yeah, you should circle that. Your Honor, I'd like a number 2 pencil. Is there a multiple choice version? And
Yes, sir.
clear, we're clear.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I see you checked here that your client prefers hard time. Yeah, right there. Oh, sorry, you missed it because the Post-it was covering that part of it up. So, Miss Ellis, the bailiff, please take her into custody right now. Yes, don't give her a sledgehammer until she reaches the rock pile. I'm just kidding.
If this case had gone to trial, the state would have shown the following. On December 3rd of 2020, the defendant did appear before a meeting of a Georgia Senate Judiciary Subcommittee in Fulton County, Georgia,
And got farted on.
with co-defendants William Rudolph Lewis Giuliani
And his Mexican lunch that he had 2 days prior. Ugh.
Ray Sterling Smith III, and other individuals associated with Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated.
Everybody except what's her name, the lipstick Karen, who was like, you don't even fucking know. You don't even fucking know. You don't know. You don't fucking know. Remember that lady?
Also known
God damn, I wish this case was in Michigan.
as the Trump campaign. During the subcommittee meeting,
Tony wants to know when is Rudy's turn. Rudy's not going to get a deal. Rudy's fucked. Rudy's not going to be able to plead down. He's too late. And he's too big a fish.
Giuliani and Smith, acting as attorneys for the Trump campaign, made the following false statements.
Yeah, all of these are false. She's admitting that all of these are false. Everything she's about to list off, when Giuliani or Trump float this bullshit, this is legally and officially bullshit.
One, that at least 96,600 mail-in ballots were counted in the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia, despite there being no record of those ballots having been returned to a county election office. Two.
Right, that was one big thing. They lied that these 96,000 ballots were counted even though they were never mailed in or whatever. Now, never mind the fact that a lot of people got their mail-in ballots and hand-delivered them, so there's no postage coming back, but the person returned it. That happened a lot. A lot of people do that. I did that with my mail-in ballot. I turned it in personally because I didn't trust the fucking postal system at that point.
That 2,506 felons voted illegally in the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Three, that 66,248 underage people illegally registered to vote before their 17th birthday prior to the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia. Four, that at least 2,400.
Yeah, they legally can register before they turn 18. Their registration doesn't go into effect until they turn 18. And if you registered before the election, you can't vote in the election unless you turn 18 before the election. And in the case of a lot of these folks, it had to do with getting people who were going to turn 18 between November 3rd or 4th and the special election for senator, getting those people registered in Georgia. Now, granted, that part is more about Republicans not wanting anybody to vote. But there you go.
23 people voted in the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia who were not listed as registered to vote. Five, that 1,043 people voted in the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia who had illegally registered to vote using a post office box. 6, that 10,315 or more dead people voted in the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia. And 7, that Fulton County election.
By the way, for the record, all of these people absolutely voted, but they voted for Trump. 10,000 dead people voted for Trump. 66,000 underage people registered and voted for Trump. All these are Trump votes. Just saying. The reason they weren't counted, though, is because they were thrown out. But Trump tried to get it. That's why he was so sure there was election fraud in a bunch of places, because it was there to benefit him. He just knew that after the voting part, because it's kept quiet. How do you like them apples? See how easy that is for me to do?
Election workers at State Farm Arena ordered a poll watcher and members of the media to leave the tabulation area on the night of November 3rd, 2020, and continued to operate after ordering everyone to leave. The false statements were within the jurisdiction of the Georgia Secretary of State and the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, who were each conducting investigations into allegations of fraud in the November 3rd, 2020 presidential election in Georgia. Once completed, these and others investigations affirmatively determined that there was no widespread fraud that could have affected the outcome of the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. The false statements were made with reckless disregard of the truth and with conspicuous purpose to avoid learning the truth.
That's the part. With conspicuous purpose to avoid learning the truth. These people were not only trying to bullshit Trump and themselves and the public, but the court and the judiciary, the legislature as well. Like bullshit them into not even looking.
Defendant attended and abated Giuliani Smith in making these false statements by assisting with the execution of the December 3rd, 2020 Senate Judiciary Committee meeting that was held in Fulton County, Georgia. The false statements were used as part of a plan by the Trump campaign to solicit the Georgia General Assembly to disregard the certified results of the presidential election in this state and instead to unlawfully appoint non-elected presidential electors in violation of their oaths to the Georgia Constitution and to the United States Constitution. Similarly, false statements and solicitations were made to state legislators in Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and the defendant was present and assisted with the execution of those meetings. And she was in attendance with...
Yeah, the idea is that they're adding that in there in case she tries to buck this later. This is on the record that she didn't just try this here. She tried it in a bunch of other states. And you can say, I was duped in one state, but the idea that you went state to state doing this means you're part of the conspiracy to hide the truth.
Giuliani in Arizona and Michigan and Pennsylvania. That would be the factual basis in which the state would have proceeded on, Your Honor.
All right. Anything further from the state, Ms. Young?
Just that we filed a motion of null prosecution presented under the original indictment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, turning to Mr. Hogue, just a few matters of housekeeping before I let you have the floor. If there's anything else you want to add, would you be requesting automatic sealing on this first offender disposition?
Yes, that's one of my two notes here to ask the court if you would do that under 42-862-1B, please.
All right, and was part of the...
Yeah, nobody's going to know that she was found guilty of this shit. It's not like it's being broadcast everywhere. I think sealing it is a good idea. You know what I mean? In case she goes to a temp agency and they do a check on her or whatever. No one will know.
This negotiated resolution, is there anything to note here about a behavioral incentive date?
Yes, Your Honor, that's going to be 3 years.
Mr. Hogue, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Hogue, that you would like to add?
Yes, if you could make a note that this is not a crime of moral turpitude, that would assist us in other...
Yeah, she did not try to finger bang the voting machines the way Sidney Powell did.
venues, perhaps.
And is that an issue of negotiation between the parties? I know that has differed from resolution to resolution here. So where are we with that?
It is not, Judge. We're going to ask that the same verbiage that has been put on the other dispositions be put on this disposition as well, which I believe it says like the defense and the state have agreed that this is not a crime of moral turpitude.
Okay.
Get that language to Ms. Bordas when we leave.
So just to clarify, it's not a point of contention between the parties. It's being jointly recommended, this language. And is that the case for because I think we needed to enter amended sentences on the prior resolutions reflecting that. Is that the same for all three prior resolutions in this case?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All three. This being the fourth. 3 lawyers and one of the fake electors.
Okay. All right, then if that is the joint recommendation, that'll be part of the global recommendation. Understood,
Boy,
Mr.
will it.
Ho.
Your Honor, the only other thing is if the court is inclined to accept the negotiated plea, Ms. Ellis would like to exercise her right of allocution and make.
Don't do it. Just do the tape and fuck off. Don't read the statement out loud. Don't do it. If I was in the gallery behind her, I'd be like, stop! Don't say it! Just enter it into the record. Make a tape like everybody else, dumb fuck. Your Honor, I'd like, if I may, to stand up and audition for a Hallmark movie.
A brief statement to the court.
I mean, she did her hair and everything. I mean, we might as well.
All right. So I think I would typically have that as part of the record
Nah.
before
You have a copy of it?
we finalize everything. So at this point, Ms. Ellis, you're not required to do so in any way. But if you would like to add anything to the record or address the court, you're certainly willing to do, able to do so.
I believed all the bullshit, Your Honor. I believed it all.
And now would be the appropriate time.
Fucking, if just there was an orchestra swell and some birds landed on her shoulder, that'd be hilarious.
Your Honor, if I may approach, I have it in writing what she's about to say.
In case anybody wants to sing along.
I have one attached to State's Exhibit 1.
Great. Do you have it with the new chorus or just the original verses?
Is that the same?
Oh, yeah, you have it already.
Okay. And
Ladies and gentlemen, Jenna Ellis coming up for the song. All right. As a jailbird.
so
All right.
would the intention be that this also be going into the record as State's Exhibit 1, the written form? Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ho.
yeah, but she would want it. If she wanted future generations to weigh her performance against the written form, because you really don't get the oomph, the kapow, the zimzam if you just read it.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the opportunity to address the court.
Oh, God. Does anyone have any? I'm good.
As an attorney who is also a Christian,
Citation needed.
I take my responsibilities as a lawyer very seriously.
And as I'm squeaking my way through this,
And I endeavor to be a person of sound moral and ethical character in all of my dealings.
sorry.
In the wake of the 2020 presidential election, I believed that challenging the results on behalf of President Trump should be pursued in a just and legal way. I endeavored to represent my client to the best of my ability. I relied on others, including lawyers with many more years of experience than I, to provide me with true and reliable information, especially since my role involved speaking to the media and to legislators in various states. What I did not do, but should have done, Your Honor, was to make sure that the facts the other lawyers alleged to be true were in fact true. In the frenetic pace of attempting to raise challenges to the election in several states, including Georgia, I failed to do my due diligence. I believe in and I value election integrity. If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges. I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse. For those failures of mine, Your Honor, I have taken responsibility already before the Colorado bar who censured me, and I now take responsibility before this court and apologize to the people of Georgia. Thank you.
There we go.
And then thank you, Ms. Ellis, for sharing.
Thank you. That was a great reading. Now, do you feel like doing the second scene, or do we want to just? Okay. I'm going to give you a couple of notes. I want you to back up on that. I want you to build to the tears. And then right about the time you think you're going to cry, I want you to hold, because you want to let the audience cry. Sometimes it's not about you. Also, the farting was very distracting. I know Mr. Giuliani instructed you that it was a great way to distract when you're bullshitting the court, but in this particular case, our eyes are all watering, and the room smells like mustard. So, let's.
That all too often, I don't get to hear the perspective of the accused in these cases.
Because I wasn't allowed, I provided a tape. Miss Powell, could you please? You're not supposed to talk to anybody else in this case. I thought we were like all of us were on like team plea. Could all talk. Please get out of here.
And so that's appreciated.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Also, for my talent competition portion.
Is there anything else, Mr. Hogue, that you would like to have as part of the record?
That Mrs. Hogue is a wonderful woman, and she puts up with a lot, and I swear to God, if I could marry her all over again, I would, Your Honor. That was meant for you, not for Jenna. She's between us, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea. She's very jealous. Help me, Your Honor.
Oh, Your Honor.
Miss Ellis, I have a few questions that I have to go over with you.
One, do you think there's crying in baseball?
Do you understand the nature of this charge that as it's been reaccused against you?
I do.
And you heard the rights that you would waive by going forward with this plea. Do you still wish to waive those rights?
Yes.
And are you pleading guilty today because you agree that there is a...
Also, I noticed your crying dried up the fucking second you stopped reading your statement. Just saying, one of the great things about an emotional performance is the emotional consistency of said performance, and
a factual basis as outlined by the state to support this guilty plea.
I do.
Mr. Hogue, are you satisfied your client is competent and that this plea is understanding, voluntary, and that there is a sufficient...
Let me consult with Mrs. Hogue right now. Honey, what's your thought on her? Cut her a break? All right. Your Honor, yeah, sure.
Factual basis to support it?
I am, Your Honor.
Ms. Ellis, do you have a weapons carry license of any kind in this state or any other?
I do not.
And the room goes deathly silent. Has she always had a little girl voice? Yes.
Well, I find that there is a sufficient factual basis for the charges, and I find that this plea of guilty is knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently entered.
Again, Your Honor, I would request that intelligently be done in air quotes, because while fitting the legal definition of the term, the colloquial definition of the term is definitely not met amongst the general public. We all pretty much think she's full of shit. Yeah.
Ms. Ellis, you've asked to be sentenced under the First Offender Act, which is a request that I will approve, and I'll withhold adjudication. But I do have to notify you that you can't withdraw your plea simply because you don't abide by the terms of the sentence.
This seems like this is all set up to teach, so that when it gets to Trump and they say this to him, he goes, "What? I can't just do whatever I want once I've been sentenced?" They go, "No, you same as everybody else, fuckwad."
And the terms of the sentence would be as negotiated and agreed to by both parties. On the sole count of aiding and abetting false statements and writings, the sentence would be 5 years probation.
Yes, apparently she's found it's one felony charge of pulling Rudy Giuliani's finger. That was the whole point. So, sorry.
You're to pay a $5,000 fine to the Georgia Secretary of State's office within 30 days of the entry of the final disposition in this case. You're to complete 100 hours of community service. You are to cooperate with the state and testify truthfully in any further legal proceedings in this case. And you're not to have any contact, either personally or through other agents, with the media or any co-defendants.
Ooh, with the media and any other co-defendants. That's new. I didn't hear her say media before. The pulling finger felony.
Or witnesses, I believe, in this case, as was outlined. We will include the language that is sent to us subsequently from Ms. Young, of course, with Mr. Hogue attached on that email to make sure that it is the exact language as agreed to.
Like, what about freedom of speech? Yeah, you gave up some of your rights because you pled guilty. You want to lose more rights, like your like free association, and be stuck in a cell? No. All right. Well, then you're going to trade some of your rights for others. That's how it works. That's what home confinement is. That's what a gag order is. You're trading some rights for others. You want to be out on probation, you want to be out on bond, all that kind of stuff. Then you sacrifice certain behaviors like your ability to travel and other shit so that you can be out on bond. If you don't want to be out on bond during this entire fucking thing, you can just go to fucking jail, in which case you can blather all the fuck you want to anybody that can listen, but you'll do it from a cell. That's what Trump doesn't understand about his bullshit.
By both parties. As requested by counsel as a first offender sentence, this would be automatically sealed upon entry, and there'll be a behavioral incentive date of
Yeah, so as soon as we're done watching this, I'm going to flashy thing everyone like Men in Black.
3 years as well. I've been provided a motion to null pros the counts on the underlying indictment in 23 SC 188947, and I'm signing that now. Is there anything else from the state that you believe we need to have on the record in this case?
Yes, that she represents a raging piece of shit, and that she should, we're not saying she deserved COVID, but she should have been wearing a mask anytime she was around Rudy Giuliani. That's just in general.
Judge, and if I misspoke, I said it should be a $5,000 restitution because the max fine
That was the judge's misspeak.
is only $1,000.
Excuse me, that's right.
I may have misspoke.
No, that was my mistake. So it is a $5,000 restitution. I didn't hear a fine.
There's
no fine. Whoops, plays.
fine, Judge.
Okay, understood. Anything else I need to clarify or may have? Obviously, we will, as I mentioned, go off the language that were provided subsequent to this hearing. Anything else from the state, though?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Hogue, anything else we should have on the record? Take your time.
I love you too, sweetie pie. Okay, I'll see you on the other side. Let's do this. Let's knock this down like we always do. Let's make the rest of the Hogue family proud. We can't talk about that in front of our client. She's not into dirty stuff like that.
It's our understanding there won't be any travel restrictions as a part of her probation. I want to just make that clear.
She has to move to Georgia for the next 4 years. That's what they're talking about. Like, she doesn't live in Florida. She has to move to Georgia, rather. She lives in Florida.
Understanding or dispute about that. She lives out of state.
No, understood. This is sometimes a challenge with out-of-state residents.
Yeah, coming in and trying to fuck with our election system and then wanting to go home. Fuck them. They all gotta live in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district.
We have to have things transition and be moved to the out-of-state probation office, and they have to accept it as well. And so whatever we can do to facilitate that process, I would like.
She can stay with us, the Hogues. Your Honor, I rescind my plea. Find me guilty. Throw me in jail. Why? You don't like the bunk we put for you in the special rubber room with the sheets and the little zipper hood? Your Honor, let me a moment to confer with my client. She's running away. Bailiff, put her in shackles. We like her that way. The Hogues have spoken.
To do that may mean that if she has a flight today, I don't know if that's going to be possible. But if I could check in with probation, maybe we can get some insight on predictions of what we can do to.
She's fucking gonna bail out right afterwards. We're gonna get our probation transferred down there to Florida with no flight, with no travel restrictions. In Florida, she just got to check in every 36 months.
Get this case transferred to Colorado, I believe you said it was.
No, she lives in Florida.
In Florida, okay.
And we do have flights booked this afternoon.
Okay,
Chesbrough's not from Colorado, is he? Because that's an interesting brain fart from the judge, which tells me there might be another teed up appeal that he's had a look at the draft of.
Well, let's see what we can do.
So we basically would need a police report or affidavit as we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
I would just need to take information from her, a
boy.
picture and $100 money order, and then we can kind of get the process started. But until Florida states that they can accept her case.
Oh yeah, Tina Peters is in Colorado. That's possible. I don't think she was involved in the Georgia case though. Was she? She wasn't down there. I mean, she might have flown down there to fuck around with the machines.
She has to stay within Georgia.
Oh, the lawyer's in Colorado, but lives in Florida. Huh? Hal Ellis is a lawyer in Colorado, but lives in Florida. I see. That's weird. So she's ready. She's past the bar. Okay, whatever. I guess they all live at Mar-a-Lago now. Not anymore.
So if we have everything we need, we can possibly have her report today at 2. But if we don't have the indictment, the affidavit, she might have to.
She's gonna have to get a hotel room and enjoy sunny
and when you
downtown.
say, we'll sort through the.
Atlanta's lovely this time of year. I'm just saying. There's a lot of great restaurants. I would stay overnight if I was her. I mean, the chances of her committing another crime while she's there are fairly high, so maybe it's best if she leaves. But
This, Mr. Hogue, when you say after she reports at 2:00 today, potentially, how does that affect the process?
well, she has to check in for her flight at least an hour before, and the flight was at 1:55, right?
So they're gonna try to get it started with Florida, and then if Florida states that we have everything and they can take it, she possibly can go back to Florida today. But if we don't have everything that we need and Florida doesn't state that they can take her, then she would have to stay until they give us the go ahead.
Okay.
Unless the judge waives it.
Mr. Hogue, what time's that flight?
It's at 1:55.
Yeah, it's not. That's going to be difficult because there's a 45-minute window, Your Honor, to check her bag.
PM, Your Honor. I'd like to ask the court to exercise its authority and allow her to travel today. She's been on bond this entire time. Hasn't been that long, but she's abided by all the conditions. Whenever and wherever.
Whatever, whoever, Hogue-ever. Don't worry about
We
it.
had thought perhaps we would have this done yesterday. Problem that it is now.
Okay. And any thoughts from the state on including some kind of language, allowing some flexibility here on making sure the probation paperwork is in order?
We don't have any objection. We'll stand mute.
We'd rather her not be in our state. She lowers the IQ of the entire city just by her presence, Your Honor. So if we're willing, if she promises to leave and never come back, we're quite willing to have a tremendous amount of flexibility.
On it and let the court make its decision. Ms. Ellis has complied with everything that the state has asked.
Okay. I certainly am amenable to that. And I agree that I don't think flight from the jurisdiction is an issue here. So we can follow up and see if we can find other examples and exactly what and how that needs to look. But we'll work on that after we conclude here.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? I already checked in with the state. Last call over to Mr. Hogue.
We're good, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good luck, Miss Ellis. We'll be off the record.
Thank you.
She's like, I did it. They bought it. I'm out of here. Oh, now I just have to avoid some psycho maggot taking a poke at me. It's for the next decade. But baby steps. And of course, I may get a break in that Jack Smith may put me in jail for 6 years so that I can, people will have long forgotten my part in this. TSA is going to fuck with her? Yes, they are. It's going to be very difficult for her to get. She no longer qualifies for TSA pre. And I don't think she can buy her way into clear. Also, Michael Cohen appeared outside of the courthouse today, right before he was about to go in. He's testifying in the Trump New York trial.
Sorry, credibility. Now you're going to court. How long has it been since you've seen him? And what do you say to those who wonder about your credibility?
So it's been 5 years since we've been in the same room. And as far as my credibility, I don't know how many
And I still can't get the smell out of my jacket. Sorry.
times I've said it. I'm actually glad that I have the press here today. My credibility should not be in question. Yes, I pled guilty to a 1001 violation, which was lying to Congress. But I have also requested that people continue the sentence. And the sentence is, I did it at the direction of, in concert with, and for the benefit of Donald J. Trump. All it had to do with was the number of times that I stated that I spoke to Donald Trump about the failed Trump Tower Moscow real estate project. The Mueller team acknowledged it, congressional committees acknowledged it, and I'm certain that the judge today will acknowledge it as well.
And how do you feel about seeing, what do you think it's for you emotionally and for him, seeing him being in the same room?
I'm looking forward to the reunion. All right. Well, thank you all very much, and I'll see you a few minutes down at the courthouse.
So yeah, so he headed down and he spoke at Mr. Says Who, bless his heart, who's now part of the Midas Touch Network, our dear friends over there. And he headed down there after Trump called him a coward last week for not showing up because he probably tested positive for COVID more than likely. They're just not talking about it, or he had a doctor's appointment or some shit. I also think they wanted to punt him until after somebody else spoke so that they could kind of the order of witnesses does have an impact, right?